Hey, action takers, would you like to multiply your impact and thereby your income? Would it be valuable to you if you could transform your goals into reality? Just try to imagine it. People are eagerly packed around the building, just queuing up to buy your premium priced offer. And they're not even asking about the price. They're just handing the credit cards over. Would that impact your life and the lives of your family? The good news is that's very doable. And in today's episode, we'll be talking about how your mindset and what you believe will create your destiny and how you can impact that destiny. I'm awesome Angie Engstrom.
And I'm Gita Adgard. And we have a guest with us today. We have Brian Swift, and we're so excited about it. And I'm just gonna do a short introduction to Brian. You may also know Brian as the Quad Father. Brian, he was born walking just like the rest of us. But when he was 17, he had an accident, a terrible accident. And after that, he couldn't walk on his own anymore. He was paralyzed. Just take a second to ponder, how would it affect your life if you experienced an accident like that? How would you react to that? Well, the facts are that Brian, he didn't choose the easy way. He didn't just sit in the corner and feel sorry for himself. No. So today he walks differently. But he walks with confidence, and he's actually succeeded into turning his journey into a beacon of hope and inspiration for a lot of other people. So amazing. Brian believes that mindset and what you believe will create your destiny. So powerful. I really love that. Now, Brian, he's also the author of 8 books. He runs a 501c3 company, nonprofit, and he's the host of a podcast and a radio show. And he's also a certified John Maxwell coach and speaker. Just want to end this by saying, I think it's such a powerful message that Brian has, because he doesn't just talk the talk, he's actually walked the walk, and that's what makes him so amazing. So I'm really excited about today.
Yes, thank you,
Thank you.
Brian. Welcome to Momentum Maker Podcast.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate the opportunity.
Excellent. Well, let's jump into it. What inspired you to get started in your business?
Well, I spent 25 years in corporate and I loved it, every minute of it. It was in sales for a couple years, then in training several years, then in management. And I enjoyed it. I loved it. I moved up. I had my corner office. But after about 25 years, I got to a point where it wasn't about the money. There were so many other things ahead of me that I felt I needed to do. It was not a moment in time. It was just a feeling that I had probably the last couple of years of being in corporate. So I set a date when I wanted to step away. I started coming up with a game plan before I stepped away, because you just don't step away. You've got to step away prepared. And some of the things I wanted to do was write a book. Some of the things were start a nonprofit to help people with disabilities, to spend more time with my family, and to engage just in the rest of life, that life has to offer us. We're here such a short time. So that's what I did. I came up with goals, and I call a game plan. I stepped away from corporate and started to write a book, started the paperwork for a nonprofit, and started the things that I decided I wanted to do. Spent more time with my family, regained some health. And all of that I kind of had planned out. And again, no matter how much we plan, we don't know the end result. But I know that if you just keep going forward with the right mindset, that you will eventually achieve what you want to achieve.
That's awesome.
So that drove me. The success in business, I just took to apply outside of a structured corporate environment and apply it to the rest of my life.
That's awesome. That's
So
amazing.
powerful. Yeah, it really is.
The John Maxwell piece, when did that come about? Was that early on?
You know, that was a couple years after I left corporate, that I knew that I had certain knowledge and abilities. But the thing is, I also knew that there was a lot I didn't know. And that the key for me is always, you don't know what you don't know, right? I mean, I'm not sure what I don't know. I know there's a lot of stuff I don't know. And I have always been an avid reader. And I'd had a couple friends who were in the process of taking several, mentoring classes through different people. And John Maxwell just resonated with me. And I jumped into being mentored by him and absolutely loved it. And continue to grow. You're either growing or you're dying, and I like to grow. So I'm always learning because I'm okay not knowing everything. None of us do. There's no one source out there, the internet, any program in the internet, no book that gives you all the answers to everything. So you have to continue to chase down, even though sometimes you don't know what you're chasing because you don't know what you don't know. What I do know is that if I keep reading and surround myself with people smarter than me, I will get better.
And just a really quick 30-second blurb for those of us listening that don't know who John Maxwell is. He's a strong leadership coach. Like, how would you describe him?
You nailed it. I mean, I think he was, a preacher for numerous years, and then took his gift into business and became successful at that. But his passion was helping other people grow. So I'd say his passion is leadership, and then taking leadership and helping others grow. And it's a man that I respect because when I was in corporate, I met too many people that were afraid to help others become better than them. And I thrived on that. I thrived because I'm okay with people being better than me, smarter than me, faster, stronger. So if I could get somebody better, faster, stronger than me, I had won. Where there's too many people out there that think they can't share their knowledge or their wisdom because, oh my gosh, what if you're actually better than me? I want that. You never want to be the smartest person in the room. I don't. I never have a problem with that. So I'm good with that and I'm comfortable.
That's awesome. Yeah, John Maxwell is a strong leader. He trains leaders. And so the fact, Brian, that you are mentored by him, that's a big deal. And people need to know that. That's a really big deal. And so as far as your business, it's a coaching business that you have?
Exactly. Yes. I do coaching, executive coaching, leadership coaching. I coach people who've been through traumatic injuries, and I'm also a speaker. So between the two and the nonprofit and some of the other things I do, I stay busy.
And what's the biggest result that you get for the people that come into your circle?
The biggest result is watching them transform into what they want to be, which is typically a better leader or a more confident leader or just a happier, more productive person that feels like they're more in control of their lives. For small businesses or entrepreneurs, it's starting to see that success in whatever endeavor that they're trying to grow in.
Nice. Would you say a lot of your clients are more corporate entrepreneurs, or is it all over the board?
Probably a little more entrepreneurs and individuals, but I have worked with corporate entities on especially leadership training. Today's environment's very different than it was before COVID even. There's a lot of little nuances that have really changed what typical leaders did back in the day. And changes, you either lead, follow, or fall behind. And I'd rather lead that change than fall behind. And I'm a good follower, but I'm a better leader, I think. I'd rather try to lead people and get them better than me, because some people have natural talents that are just amazing. They just have this mind block and this I'll call it this mental paralysis. That is a big thing that I work on with people, is getting unparalyzed.
So would you say you're focusing on mindset in your
100,
coaching?
100%. Mindset, which affects your ability as a leader, which affects your ability as an entrepreneur, which affects your daily lives in so many ways.
And you mentioned nuances since the pandemic. Can you touch on a couple of those real quick?
Sure. Well, so many businesses have brought in this era of freedom because people had to work from home. And not that that's a total bad thing, but I'm used to managing people that I'm seeing maybe almost every day, or at least several times a week. Now I've got to do several things. I've got to manage them from afar. And even if I do see them once a week, I've got to manage them, and not just manage, but I've got to create a relationship. And a lot of the times relationships are built on having these micro conversations where you get to know a person and understand them and just see them. Well, you take that, I don't see them as much, I don't get to hear their conversations maybe by the water cooler, to say, oh, I didn't know that you were a fan of that. So you take away all those little things that help you create a relationship. It becomes very difficult to create a trusting relationship these days, compared, at least I believe, compared to pre-COVID. So now you have to find better ways to build it. And a lot of it revolves around taking the work talk out of the opportunities you have to meet with them, whether that's through Zoom, or I'll tell people, get back to old school, meet them out for lunch. We've got to reconnect with people again, more than a lot of us are. And I will never get away from trying to reconnect old school. I don't do a lot of texting. Call me on the phone. Zoom me. I want to hear your voice. I want to hear what goes on behind you. I want to hear that tone. That tells me something about you. So managing, sometimes it's just going back to some things we did before COVID is a big one, I believe. And then something I think we have to do now more than ever is manage people's expectations. I think there's a lot of expectations, unrealistic expectations out there by people. And I think I would rather manage them up front. And maybe you're disappointed by what I'm trying to tell you or what's going to happen, then manage them 6 months into it, and now you're really mad at it. You really feel like you've been abandoned or lied to or let down. I'd rather have that in the beginning, get it all on the table, and then say, okay, let's move forward. What do you need me to do to help you? What do you need me to do to make you successful? Because that's what I'm here for. And then hold them, accountable. You tell me what I can do for you, and now we've got a winning combination.
Yogiti.
Yeah, I was just going to say, do you have a specific system you work with when you work with your clients, or does it depend on who you're working with, or how do you do it?
I have a somewhat of a system, but when I say somewhat, every client is so different and everybody responds differently. Some people are very visual with learning. Some people want stuff, they want it in, some type of white paper, and some people want to talk to you more. And so it just depends. meeting one-on-one, I love it. It doesn't always happen because a lot of my clients are out of the state. So I will adapt to people because everybody is different. The system of success is somewhat similar. Now, there's little nuances within everybody's business and industry, but the system is similar in what it takes to be successful.
Would you say that the process you've developed with people is very similar to what John Maxwell has taught you? Is that kind of the foundation of it?
Yeah, yes. And it's interesting enough, a lot of what he taught me, I had been practicing like servant leadership. I'm a big believer in servant leadership. It's not new to me. It wasn't new when I read a lot of John Maxwell's books, when we had conversations in groups. That was not new to me. That was something that I want to say I learned at home, at least the idea of it. And I feel my parents parented us that way. And I was blessed to have a lot of good role models in terms of servant leadership. And I think a lot of what John Maxwell does is somewhat old school, but intertwines it in this new environment. And I don't mean just post-COVID, but even pre-COVID. So a lot of things, like goals. I mean, everybody's heard about goals. Nobody wants to talk about SMART goals because we've all heard it enough, right? But there are three things that I find that people still don't do enough of when they put their goals together. I will talk to people about goals, get your goals ready for next year, and I'll come in and talk to them, and they'll be when we talk about goals, did you write them down? Nope. No, there's three things you've got to do. Write them down. You have to. I'm sorry. And hang them on your refrigerator like the 7-year-old that drew you a picture. Get them posted somewhere. Second thing you need to do is put dates on them. Put a date on when you want to accomplish it. And the third thing is tell somebody about them, because it becomes now almost like an accountability partner. So there's three simple things with goals. I don't want to go through, what does S mean? What does M mean? What is that? But three things. Get them written down because I want a copy. 2, put dates on when you want to get this accomplished. 3, I want you to tell as many people about them as you can. That's simple.
I was just writing it down in my notebook.
You're so powerful. I agree, Angie.
That's golden, golden. So would you say as part of your process, the servant,
Leadership?
the servant leadership, is that a big piece of your process, would you say?
Yes, because I look at leadership, there's for me 3 levels of leadership. And the first one is leading yourself. And if you can't lead yourself, then you can't step into the second form of leadership, which is leading others. And once you learn to lead others, you learn to lead groups or organizations. But you have got to learn to lead yourself first. And I mean, is a mother or a wife or a sister or an aunt or a brother, whatever it is, we're all leaders in a certain way. I mean, my kids, every one of them, they're a lead. You got to learn to lead yourself. It doesn't, I think people think of leaders always as like this big corporate structure. It's not. Entrepreneurs have to lead themselves. And in that, there's a lot when you're an entrepreneur because you're wearing 19 different hats, as you know, right? I mean, you're not wearing 2 hats or 4 hats. So you've got to have great leadership skills, which encompass all these soft skills, right? So yes, leadership is a huge form of what I talk about and teach and try to develop.
And would you say there's an end to that? Like you learn it and then you're done?
No, never done. You're always growing.
Yep.
Never done. Because none of us are perfect and we always can get better. Just think if you were done. Like that almost sounds, it doesn't sound like a happy place to me. That'd be like winning and being on top of the hill with a trophy and nobody else around you. Like that's not my vision of winning. Like, oh, I'm done now and I'm standing here all alone. I don't want there to be an end. Everything, I just wanted to keep going.
I've heard that the definition of retirement is putting cows out to pasture to die. Have you heard that?
I haven't, but I don't know. I'm busier now than when I was in corporate, and um, loving it.
Well, define
So
busy. Yeah, when you say busy, I have a feeling, define that, because you're out probably, you're living life. Is that what you mean by busy?
not just yes, living life and pursuing the things. I've written in 8 books, so I'll still go out and do book signings. I do speaking, and during the speaking, I'll also be able to sell my books. I have to get ready for my radio show, which is every Wednesday at 12 o'clock. So I've got to prep for that, and I love having guests on. Then I take the radio show and I use that for now I do recycle material, which you have to learn to do. Or you're just so busy constantly looking for material. I take my radio show, and that goes on my podcast now. And then I have a Get Fit While You Sit YouTube channel where I exercise from the wheelchair that I'm in, show people how they can stay fit, exercise. During that, though, I'm always talking about something positive, something optimistic, whether it be an inspiring story, how to get a hold of your mindset, how to grow. I'm running our nonprofit, which we've had for 8 years. It helps people with disabilities get outdoors. So sometimes it's busy work. A lot of times it's productive work. So with the nonprofit, I'm writing grants or reading grant requests or trying to make contacts to help people do the things they want to do outdoors. Like you wanted to go skiing. Well, I'm in Illinois. You want to go snow skiing. I have to make contacts with people in Colorado to help these people go skiing, which I do. Or people in Florida, I have numerous contacts that have boats that are accessible. So there's always things going on.
I'm glad I asked the clarifying question. Yeah, I love your enthusiasm, and it's so awesome to hear all that you've accomplished. That you work with people.
Thank you. I've been blessed. I've been very blessed, and trust me, you don't do it alone. I haven't gotten here alone. I have had a lot of support. Behind every great man is a great woman or women. It just is. I mean, you don't get there alone. If it wasn't for my faith, my family, and I have a mantra of faith, family, and friends. I mean, I live by that. If it wasn't for my faith, my family, and friends, life would be very void of pleasure.
I like that. Faith, family, and friends. I love
That's
that.
beautiful. Yeah.
Now, what's interesting, you talk about, because you're a coach, like, would you call yourself like a mindset coach? Is that, or leadership coach?
Yes, leadership mindset. Yes.
It's a mix of a lot of things.
Exactly.
My brain was going to Michael Jordan, like the best basketball player in the world. He has a coach. Like the coach does not play amazing basketball. The best thing for a coach is to see their students thrive and just be the
exactly
they are. And so that is obviously what you do for your clients. So what holds people back from reaching out and saying, "Hey, Brian, I want to consider hiring you to be my coach"?
Mindset. I think that they've either had a bad experience with a coach or they believe they could do it themselves. Don't believe that. So it's my opinion, it's mindset. They don't believe that somebody else can make a difference in their life because they don't believe they can make a difference. A lot of it is a lack of confidence, fear. Fear stops more people from moving forward than anything. And then you go to self-limiting beliefs, self-doubt, and then self-sabotage. Huge.
Yeah.
And you'd be amazed at the people who are afraid of success.
Yeah. I was sort of thinking, do you have any ideal client, a person who you'd say, this is the person I can really help and make a difference for?
I don't, because everybody's everybody's so different, and what's holding you back or is going to be different than what's holding Angie back, that what's different than holding Brian back. So, the ideal client would be, and Mike, you talk about Michael Jordan, Angie. Michael, what he said his best trait was? You would think he's athletic, right? He was coachable. My best client would be somebody coachable, which means they want it bad and they are coachable. They're ready. They're willing. If they're coachable, we can get them succeeding.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It means so much that people actually listen. Yeah. Exactly.
Exactly.
Walk the walk. Yeah. Just like you did. Yeah. Mhm. Have you experienced anything else that's holding people back from working with you?
I would say it's fear and lack of confidence in themselves.
Mhm.
I think those are big things. You know what? And something I've seen a lot of post COVID is people stop dreaming. I don't think people dream like they used to. They don't see themselves doing these great, mighty things, and they're afraid of failing. And one of the best classes, whether I do it individually or in a group setting, through John Maxwell, what I learned from John Maxwell is sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. I haven't lost in 10 years. Why? Because
Like that.
if I fail at something, if I get beat, and I learn something from it, which I will, I haven't lost. It's okay to fail. It's okay to get beat as long as you learn. If you're learning, you didn't lose. So sometimes you win, sometimes you learn.
Yeah, I imagine
So
that's a big
true.
part of your process, is helping people understand that, because that alone is something I think people could use your guidance around. It's just how when you're in some dire straits, it's really hard sometimes to see the golden trail, like where's the good here, and to have someone right by your side that can help you see the good and get the learnings from it.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right. Anything else, Geety? Any other questions? Anything else you want to add, Brian, before we ask you our final question?
No, I think we've covered quite a bit. I mean, I'll answer any other questions you have. I just hate seeing people not reach their potential. It's such a shame, because I know most people, people, and some of it might be just very simple stuff, but our lives are so short here on Earth. It's really such a blink. And when you start to talk to people and ask them what's the worst thing that happens, and they try, and then they start talking to themselves rationally, and they realize, like, they put up this big wall in front of themselves, whether it be of fear or lack of confidence or lack of motivation, that it's not as big and ominous as they once had thought.
Here's something that I'd love for you to speak on really quick as well. The difference between somebody going to a coworker or partner, family member, and talking through some of these things versus a coach who is this third party, you're wearing a different hat than the family, the friends.
Sure.
Speak to that for a moment.
No problem. I'm all for going to anybody to get another eyes on or set of ears on what you're dealing with. I mean, the more heads, the better. But as a coach, I'm going to have a process and hold you accountable. And I think it's that accountability and the fact that I have done this before and before, where your mom might be your mom, your dad, might give you great advice, 100% advice, but that's not what they've done. That's not what they do. Mom might be a beautician and dad might be doing something else. And I'm where I'm at because of my mom and dad. But yet I still sought people who were more expert at certain things than my mom and dad were at what they did, and was held more accountable. And I think it's the accountability piece. I think it's the years of doing it, that success, that are way different than seeking somebody else's opinion. And I'm all for, go to your coworkers, go to people, get another set of eyes or set of ears on what you want to do, but then seek out somebody that can really get you there quicker and stand by your side and help hold your hand through this, this maze that we all go through, and get you to that finish line.
There's no one, would you agree with this, Brian? There's no one on this planet that's been successful without others around them supporting them in some way.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Like I said, I mean, I've been blessed with having awesome support, and not just through John Maxwell. There's other people that I have spent hours, days reading, or gone to seminars, and what I couldn't do without my wife. I couldn't be where I'm at without the help of my kids. Like they say, it takes a village to raise a kid. These days, it takes a village to do a lot of things. So I've been blessed, especially being in a wheelchair. I just don't move as fast as maybe other people do, and whatnot. But I've been blessed to be able to constantly move forward, constantly have the strength through my faith, and accomplish the things I have.
I love that you don't let the wheelchair hold you back. I love it. You're out there. Oh, I love it. Absolutely love it. Geety, did you have anything else before we wrap up?
No, actually, I just wanted to ask a last question. If people are listening, Brian, what's their next step if they want to work with you or learn more about you? Or
Sure. Well, they could go to my website, which is my name, Brian P. Swift, BRIAN, P as in Paul, SWIFT.com. And you can find me on social media. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. So you could find me on Facebook or any of those social medias. Reach out to me through Messenger, send me an email, which is bswift6262@comcast.net. So there's tons of ways to get a hold of me out there, and I'd be glad to have a conversation.
sounds great. I'm just gonna repeat your website if that's okay. So if you're listening and you didn't get it the first time, I'm just gonna repeat it. So it's brianpswift.com. So it's BRIANPSWIFT.com.
Yes.
Just reach out to Brian. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today, Brian. It was such a pleasure to have you here today. Oh my gosh.
Thank you for having me. I love what you ladies are doing. Sharing the inspiration, sharing the knowledge, and conversations. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? I mean, that's where it starts. So thank you for the opportunity.
That's awesome. This is our little water cooler conversation that isn't happening everywhere right now.
Well, hopefully we'll get back there.
Yeah. You're right. That was such a great point. The water cooler conversations so valuable.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, you learn so much about people.
Yeah.
Just in those little moments that, if you're just open and receptive to listening, it's amazing what you will hear.
Exactly. And all the relations you're building when you're standing there. Yeah.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us today, and thank you all for listening. So keep your momentum and keep moving forward. And if you want to learn more about Geety and I with Elite Virtual Stages, you can find us on Facebook as well as our website, elitevirtualstages.com/report. And have a great day, everybody.
Have a good one. Thank you so much.
Yeah.